Hey there, Heather Boyd Wire here, and today it's Tip Tuesday. This week we're going to make these funky beads without wire. Now to start, you're going to get some tin foil to make a base for the bead and just scrunch it up and wind it around a little piece of wire or a little stick, whatever you have, bamboo skewer, and mold it to the shape that you want. You're going to have to squeeze it in until you're happy with the shape. Just keep rotating it and squeezing it in. And then you're going to take 3 pieces of string. It could be embroidery floss or like a cotton cord, and you're going to dip it in some white glue mixed with a little bit of water if it's too thick. And then you're just going to hold the 3 strands together. It's a little bit messy. Don't worry too much about it. It's washable. And just squeeze a little bit of the glue out. Not too much though, because you need still quite a bit of glue to be in the string. And then you're going to take your foil bead and just start winding the string around. And it should hold its shape okay if it has enough glue in it. And you'll just carefully wind it around and around the foil bead. The idea is to cover up the foil with the string, and you kind of can crisscross around and then do little loops like we did for the chaos beads. If you haven't already seen, be sure to check out the video I did last week on how to make chaos beads out of wire. And this is sort of a fun experiment. I actually filmed this video as I was troubleshooting the design. As you can see, it's not the best quality. I filmed it on my iPod because I just wanted to do some quick little video clips as I was troubleshooting the design. You have to be careful. The string can get a little bit tangled up, and so you just have to go with it and just go slowly. And make sure there is enough glue in it. You don't want it to be too dry because it has to be able to be soaked enough that it's going to hold its shape. You can see there it's a little bit dry. I probably could have put a little more glue on there. And just keep winding it around until you're happy with it. Now, I didn't measure the strands, but they're somewhere around between 18 inches and 2 feet long. That's going to depend on the size of your foil bead. And so you're going to have to just experiment with that to see what works best. And this is my first one that I've made like this, so you can see I'm just kind of playing around with it. And I'm sure if I made a few, I would get it down pat. So there we go. We just kind of cover the whole foil with the string and just keep winding around until you're happy with it. And just like kind of push the ends around. If you have to trim them, you can. And then let it dry. Like you might have to let it dry overnight. And then once it's dry and hard, you're going to paint it. So I'm painting it with an acrylic, it's sort of like a toll painting paint. It's the kind of paints you can get in the dollar store. It's just a cheap acrylic gold paint. And there you go, the first bead. Now for the next one, I'm using Sculpey, so you can use any modeling clay that you have if you have Fimo or another brand. And I'm just winding it, like kind of rolling it down until I get sort of like a spaghetti formation. Now they do have machines, little gadgets that you can actually extrude little spaghetti strands of Fimo out of, like, it's kind of looks like a little icing maker or something. So if you have one of those, wonderful, that's great. Make 3 strands of the spaghetti, the Fimo spaghetti, and then you're going to make the bead also out of Fimo. So just form the bead how you like and then stick it on a wire. It's not a thick wire, like 18 gauge, 20 gauge at the smallest. Stick that on there, and then once you have it on the wire, you're going to be ready to wrap it around. Now don't go ahead, you don't need to bake this interior bead first. You can just go ahead and wind the spaghetti strands on it and then bake the whole thing after. So line up the 3 strands, just kind of get the ends all even and try not to tangle them up. And then you're going to just place them on the Fimo bead. And slowly, keeping them lined up there, you're going to start winding it around. Now, this is like the chaos bead. that I did in another video, where you're actually doing little loop-de-loops around it to make it a little more ornate. And try as you go not to squish the Fimo down, because you don't want to flatten it or you're going to lose that lovely texture. So just keep gently winding it around, rotating the bead, making sure you cover all of the inside bead, and just do little loops around. Try to vary the size of your loops like we did with the wire bead, and just keep going around and around until it's covered. Now this is best to do with single long strands if you can, because if you have to seam them together, it's going to not look as good. So make sure you cut your pieces long enough. It might take a couple of attempts to actually get it perfect, but I'm sure if you make a few, you'll get it down pat. I'm not 100% sure how long these were. They were probably, again, about at least a foot, maybe 18 inches long for the strands. And I'm going to have to get my hands on one of those Fimo extruding machines. I think that would be super cool to make those spaghetti strands. So I'm definitely going to try to get one of those machines and experiment with this, because it's super fun. I really enjoyed doing this Fimo one. It was very experimental but very cool, and I could even see like embedding little beads inside the center of the spirals. So I just cut the ends with my fingernail, and then you just tuck the ends together so they're flush. And that's pretty well the Fimo bead. And then you bake it as per instructions, about 275 for about, I think they say about 20 minutes. You could lacquer it with either the 3D crystal lacquer, or you could use this Sculpey glaze. So whatever you have, if you have some kind of varnish that you use with your Sculpey, it's perfect. I just put a couple of drops on a piece of paper and brush it all over, and there you go. So the Fimo Chaos bead. And then I did a sad attempt at making beads with pasta. This was a giant fail, but I thought you guys would get a kick out of it. So I boiled some spaghetti and tried to wind it around a bead. That did not work. And then I got 3 strands of spaghetti and wound it around a foil bead and tried to play around with that, and that wasn't too much more successful either. And the reason I tried that was because a couple of weeks ago I'd done an art project using cooked pasta that I'd seen. It was inspired by something that I saw on Instagram. Oh, here's another failed attempt at doing a 2-dimensional piece with pasta, and that didn't work either. But yeah, here's me the other night making my pasta artwork. It was like a girl with curly hair and straightening her hair, and that was totally based on an artist I saw on Instagram. I'll link it up below. And then the last one, I got some colored embroidery floss, and I dipped it in an acrylic medium. So this is like for acrylic painting, they have the acrylic medium. It's a gloss medium, and then you soak your strands with the medium, and same way we did the other ones, you line up the 3 strings. I think any more than 3 would be tricky, and so you make sure they stay kind of straight beside each other, and then you wind it around, do little loops, and then wind it around the bead to anchor it in place, and just keep going around the foil bead. Do little loops every now and then, and just do what you can to cover the foil. I mean, the foil will stay inside there. The advantage of the foil is it's very lightweight, and you can form it to any shape that you want. So it's kind of a cool centerpiece to have for your bead. And like I said, you can make it any size or shape that you want, and it's not too heavy. So just keep going around, twisting the cords around. If you find your cords get too dry, you can definitely add some more medium in there, and just just got to add a little bit more and add some to the string if you need to as well. You can soak it a little more. A little bit messy. If you don't like the feel of it, you could always wear some surgical gloves. It just depends on if you like that feeling or not. I know I personally don't like working with clay because I find it dries out my fingers, but I don't mind working with this type of thing. It doesn't, and then I just wash my hands right after and it comes right off. So yeah, just keep adding medium if you need to and winding it around the foil. And you'll just experiment. If you kind of make a little error and you want to, pull it back a bit and twist it a different way, you can totally do that. You can even experiment with just winding it around all the way, and then you're going to clip the ends like we did before, and then you could just tuck them underneath one of the little swerves to make it easier. And then after, you can cover it with more glaze as you need it, and that'll hold it down and make it a little smoother. And so this was the last one that I did, where I just kind of did a crisscross formation, none of the swirls for a bead, and then I varnished it with nail polish. So there's the 4 designs there. So thanks so much for watching the video. Give it a big thumbs up if you liked it. Be sure to subscribe to my channel for lots more wire art and jewelry making videos. Hit the notification bell to be notified when I go live and when I post new videos. And if you'd like to join my Facebook group, the Wire Art and Jewelry Makers Club, I'll link it up below. It's a group where we share all kinds of our photos of our creations and inspiration for each other. And if you'd like to check out my work on Etsy, my husband and I specialize in custom wire wedding cake toppers and unique jewelry. I also send out a monthly newsletter, so if you'd like to sign up below, I'll send you my Wire Art Essentials ebook, where I give a list of my supplies and materials and a few tips. So thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you the next time.